Hey everyone, it's Nurse Sarah, and in this video, I want to go over the different female pelvic types that you want to know for your maternity exams. And as always, don't forget to access the free quiz that will test you on this material. So let's get started. There are 4 different female pelvic types that you want to know for your maternity exams, and that includes gynecoid, android, Anthropoid, and Platypelloid. But before we go into those, we have to go back just for a second and review some basic anatomy about the pelvis. The pelvis is made up of bones, ligaments, and soft tissues that all work together to help the baby pass through the birth canal during a vaginal delivery. Now here on your screen, you're going to see an example of a female pelvis, and this is the anterior view. So some important pelvic bones that you want to remember include the ilium. This is the upper portion of the pelvis, and it is labeled A. Then below that, labeled B, is the ischium. This is the lower portion of the pelvis. Then we have C, which is the pubis. This is the front part of the pelvis, and this is where our pubic bones are going to meet together at that pubic symphysis. Then we have D, the sacrum. This is the triangular bone that's formed by the fusion of 5 vertebrae. And then lastly, we have the coccyx, and that's just a fancy way of saying your butt bone and your tailbone, and it is located at the bottom of that sacrum. Now we can take this pelvis and we can further divide it into the true versus false pelvis. So let's start with the true pelvis. You can see here shaded in purple. This is found below the pelvic brim and is the space that the baby's actually going to pass through during a vaginal delivery. So the pelvic brim is going to separate the false and true pelvis from itself, and it helps us assess pelvic size and shape. Then we have the pelvic cavity. This is a space that the baby's actually going to travel through during delivery, and it's made up of the following. The pelvic inlet, which is the top opening of the true pelvis, and this is where the baby's head's going to enter. So here you can see a superior view of the pelvis. Now the inlet is going to be wider than the outlet, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And in early labor, the baby is typically at a negative station, -2 or -1. Then we have the mid-pelvis. This is the narrowest part of the birth canal. So as the baby descends, that head is going to flex and rotate to pass through. And once through, the station will become positive, like +2 or +1. And then lastly is the pelvic outlet. And this is the bottom opening of the true pelvis. And here you can see an inferior view of the pelvis, and note where the arrow is pointing to the pelvic outlet, and this area is going to expand during labor as that perineum stretches. And at station +5, crowning occurs and the baby is about to be delivered. Then we have the false pelvis, which is located above that pelvic brim, and it does not participate in the birthing process, but just supports the growing uterus. And it includes the ilium, parts of the lumbar vertebrae, and the ligaments. Now let's quickly talk about important diameter measurements that you need to know about the female pelvis, because that'll help us understand those different pelvic types and why some of them just aren't really good for a vaginal delivery. So we have 2 diameter types I want you to remember. We have transverse diameter and anterior posterior diameter, which I'm going to refer to as AP diameter. The transverse diameter is a horizontal measurement of the pelvic inlet, which is typically around 13 centimeters. Now, it's crucial to know this diameter because it's going to help us assess the width of the pelvic inlet, which allows us to know if that baby's head is going to be able to engage and descend down through that birth canal. And then there's the AP diameter. So we're talking about the anterior posterior diameter, which is going to refer to the measurement from the front to back. So when we're talking about the front, we're measuring from the pubic symphysis, hence to the back, the sacrum, at the level of that pelvic inlet. And this is typically anywhere between 11 to 12 centimeters. And this diameter is just going to tell us how much anterior posterior space that baby has as they pass through that birth canal. So now that we've reviewed all of that material, now let's go over those 4 pelvic types that you need to know for your maternity exams. First up is the gynecoid pelvis. Here is an example of this pelvis. Whenever you're trying to identify it, like on an exam, let's say they give you pictures or they use descriptive words, what you want to remember is that this is going to be a round-shaped pelvis. And when we're talking about round shape, notice where I have the circle at in the pelvis. That's what we're looking at. This tells us it has a wide pelvic inlet, and it's going to make it the best pelvic type of all those for a vaginal delivery because it has that wide pelvic inlet. Plus it has ample space mid-pelvis and in its outlet. So it's less likely to have an obstructive labor. And about 50% of women have this pelvis type. Next type is android. And what you want to remember about this pelvis type is that it is heart-shaped. And the term andro in that word android, that means male. So this pelvis type is similar to the male pelvis, which has a narrow pelvic inlet and it's going to have less space in its mid-pelvis. Now, because of this, it can cause a difficult labor for the patient, which may require the use of forceps or a C-section. So because of this, patient may have an obstructive labor, the fetus may be in an abnormal position that would make it difficult to be delivered, or it can cause shoulder dystocia, which is where that baby's shoulders get stuck in that vaginal canal. Now, this occurs in about 20 to 25% of women. Then there's Anthropoid. This is a long oval shaped pelvis. So with this, you're going to have a narrow transverse diameter, but a long, deep AP diameter. Now with this, a vaginal delivery is possible, but labor may be longer if that baby is in that posterior position. And this tends to occur in about 35 to 40% of women. And then lastly is the Platypelloid. Platy means flat, so that's what you want to remember about this pelvis. It's a flat pelvis. It has a very wide transverse diameter, but a short anterior posterior diameter, which is going to create that flat pelvis that's not very deep. Now, because of these characteristics, it can cause a very difficult labor that may require forceps or a C-section. The thing about it is that this pelvis type is not very common, with less than like 3% of women having this type of pelvis. Okay, so that wraps up this review. Now, if you're studying for maternity nursing and you need some more resources to help you on your exams, I have a book you can get at nursesarah.com in digital format, or you can get it on amazon.com.